Welcome to 80s TV Ladies, where we look back in order to leap forward and where we are currently learning, loving, and singing the facts of life. Here are your fabulous hosts, Susan+lambert+hatem and Sharon+johnson.
Hi, 80s TV Ladies. Welcome to part 2 of our great conversation with the fabulous Gloria Loring. I know we've made you wait a little bit, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it.
There's so many great stories.
Enjoy.
I'll start again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm used to that.
You're very
stuff.
good at that.
A pro.
So I went into Days of Our Lives. I think it was a Friday morning, and I was first up. When you're first up, that means your scenes, you can make a request. If they can accommodate it, they will. And I was flying to Houston, and I needed to get there that night because I was participating in a celebrity tennis tournament for diabetes research. So I'm first up, and I come in, and I always had my carry bag with my own makeup and my shoes. And Jimmy Stewart, when someone said, "What's the most important thing about acting?" He said, "Bring your own shoes." So I brought my own shoes. So anyway, I put the bag on the chair next to the table, the little vanity table, and I did my day, and I had the script, and I did everything at the end of the day. I got dressed. I had to catch a limo or something to the airport, and I picked up the bag, and under the bag was a little card that said, "Expect a miracle." Huh?
Wow.
And I looked at it and I thought, well, this wasn't here this morning. This isn't mine. What? And a little voice or sense in my head said, "Don't throw away a card that says expect a miracle." And I took that card and I threw it in my carry bag, and I thought, well, and I go to Houston. And a bunch of us who were there was celebrities. So we each sang a song or two or told some jokes or whatever. And I get up on stage and I do that. And as I'm coming down this side ramp off the stage, there's a man standing there, and he says, "Hi, I'm Ben, and I'm from Beaumont, Texas." And he said, "I loved your singing tonight. And I didn't realize you had a child with diabetes." I said, "Yeah, my son is now 6 or whatever it was, or 7 at that time." And I hear a voice in my head say, "Tell him about the cookbook." And now, by the way, at this point, I had all the recipes collected. I had a free graphic artist who had designed everything, and it was all ready to go to press, but I had no money. I had asked people. I'd asked NBC. I'd asked all these people. Nobody would support the project. And I hear again, "Tell him about the cookbook." I'm thinking, okay. And he said, so what do you're here and you know about the diabetes research? I said, "Yes, I do. And, I'm doing this cookbook, and I've got, we have 10 million viewers on Days of Our Lives, and I've got recipes collected, and I really think the fans would love a cookbook from their favorite people." And he said, "That sounds like a good idea." And I said, I need some sponsors. I need some people to help me with the funding. And he said, "Well, how much do you need?" I said, "Well, I need $50,000 so I can print 50,000 copies." He said, "Well, hell," he said, "I'll give you 10. He said, "Come on, let's go out in the lobby. I got friends here tonight." By the time I finished that night, I had $17,500 committed. Within a month, I had all $50,000 committed and checks coming in. We printed that first volume 1 of Days of Our Lives, Celebrity Cookbook. We sold out. We had another 50,000 we printed because now we had collected enough money. And what you did is you sent $10 donation, and as a thank you, we sent you. So we weren't selling it. It
Right.
was a gift.
Yes.
Yeah. So we gave that. We sold that. And then I did volume 2. We sold out of almost all of those also. And altogether, we earned over $1 million for diabetes research. Now, this is in the 80s. That was a lot of money
That's a
back
lot
then.
of
That was
money.
a lot of money back
That's
then.
a lot of money.
Yeah. So it was such an exciting time. I mean, those years were so full for me of my sons, my marriage, my work, my career, my singing, all of these things that were going on for me were just, and also, I mean, I sang on the Oscars. I sang 2 nominated songs on the
You sang
Oscars.
2 nominated songs,
Yes.
1978.
Oh, look at you, research girl.
Well, Research Girl, because you also sang Candle on the Water.
Yes.
I remember that.
Wasn't it
I
sweet?
watched that, and that
Yeah.
I loved that.
That song. And there were the 2 Disney songs.
They were the yeah.
Now I have a story about everything. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
let's
You're just
go.
going to have to put up with me.
But I it's one of my favorite songs. Love the movie.
Wasn't it a sweet song?
Gorgeous song. And I remember
I'll be
you
your
singing
candle on the water.
Start that again, because I was talking.
I'll be your candle on the water. It's a sweet, sweet song. So now, Marty Pacetta, who is the godfather for my son Brennan, booked me to sing. And he, unthinkingly, me with the high heels and the long dress, put me at the top of 43 stairs.
A lot of stairs in that show.
That I had to walk down.
Gee.
I know, 43 stairs I had to walk down. And you can't look down because he had me singing from the top. So I have to now walk down these stairs, looking at the audience, not looking at the stairs. And I was good all day. I was backstage. You know, they had some makeup, but I did my own makeup and hair, and I went and checked in with them, and I got my dress on, and I go backstage, and I'm calm, and everything is good. And they escort me up to the top of this platform with the 43 stairs, and the curtains open, and Bob Hope is introducing me, who I'd gone to Vietnam with, you know, around the world, you know, USO tour and all of that. And then I look, and there's Jane Fonda and her father Henry Fonda sitting in the front row, and Jack Lemmon. And I look, and I went black. I went blank. If you say, what's your name? I couldn't have said, just, and I thought, oh my God, what's the first line? I can't.
No.
And I couldn't think of the first line. And we're going live to 1 billion people. And I'm standing there, and my heart is, and I went, Gloria, you didn't come this far to screw it up now. Open your mouth and sing. And the intro came, and I had been rehearsing it up to just the moment before I came on stage. But then it all left me for that mere moment when the panic set in. And I opened my mouth, and be brave, little one. Oh, da, 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 dee, da, da, da. And I started, oh my God, thank God, I got chills just remembering the moment. Oh my God. And I finished, and I was really nervous, but I did okay. I did all right. But oh my God, can you imagine in front of 1 billion people? Maybe not. There's no do-over.
Right.
There's no do-over.
Yeah, it's live. Yeah.
Da, 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 dum, 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 dum. You know what I mean?
Wow. Wow. No pressure there.
No pressure.
All right. Can we go to some of the 80s shows that you were on?
Okay.
It looks like you were on Hotel.
Yeah, that was tough. That was really tough for me with Barbra Streisand's husband, James
Brolin.
Brolin, thank you so much. It's been a long time. He was wonderful. He was very welcoming. I had a really tough scene. I had to lie, I think, about him sexually assaulting me.
Mm.
And so I had to do this scene, and I didn't at that time have the emotional depth to know how to understand that entirely. But I just knew I had to come up with this kind of scattered interior. And I took myself to someone I knew who had been a friend who had committed suicide.
Hmm.
And after the fact, we found out things that were going on in her life. She had an abusive boyfriend she had lost a child. There were just a series of tragic events. And I thought of her, and I thought, what did she feel like? And I just sort of tried to tap into, and it was a good scene. There was one moment where I looked over, and you could see that this woman was not okay. Something, just identifying with her and what she must have felt just before she committed suicide came to me, that emptiness, that lost, terrified, just not in my body. And so thank goodness I was able to at least access that because of her tragedy. But that's sometimes what we do with acting. You know, we know someone, or we recall a moment of our own. We identify with the emotional wreckage that happened at that time. So yeah, that was very powerful. He was so kind, but that was a tough scene. And I had to do it again and again. I just kept saying, I don't, she said, you can do this. You can do this. Let's do it again. And then I said, what do I know about this? What do I know about someone being completely lost? Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And then I'm curious also about the TV movies that you did. You did one with Ann Gillian.
I did. Yeah. She's such a dear. Oh, she's such a dear.
Now, had you worked with, because she's a singer too. Had you guys
no,
performed?
I hadn't. And I played her sister, and she had gone to prison, I think it was. Yeah. That was a good experience. I was a little out of my league there. I was a little uncertain, but I think it wound up okay. You know, some things you feel like I really got a handle on this, and some you have to kind of claw your way because you're on the spot and you have to come up with it. So you do the best you can.
Convicted, a mother's story.
Yes, there it is. Yeah.
She went to jail for her boyfriend.
The first of the Hallmark movies. Yes.
But it's funny because we've covered It's a Living on the show. We've talked about that sitcom that Ann Gillian started. And then you also did a TV movie with Angie Dickinson, a police story.
Well, I didn't get to meet her, but I did it with,
Richard Crenna?
Richard Crenna. I played his wife. He was so funny. At one point, we're doing a scene and we're outside, and he's a policeman, and I'm the wife, and I'm upset with him or I need him to do something or whatever. And I said, okay, where's my mark? He said, okay, you stand here. And he said to the director, get the light on her. Just bounce the light off a rock for me. I don't. He just kept it all so light. He was a pleasure.
That's great.
Yeah.
And Murder, She Wrote. What did you do on Murder? Do you remember you did a Murder, She Wrote?
Oh, I did. What did I do? That was another one of those that
I'm really pulling you back, and I
know.
I love doing
I'd
that.
have to go see that again. What?
It was called Weave a Tangle Web.
Yeah. I probably was lying about something again.
That's what women got to do. You played Margot Bowman.
Yeah, I
don't remember.
I remember, it's funny, I remember her, Angela, on the other side of the camera, but I had to have my eye line to her, but the camera was right next to her face. So they're getting my eyes, And I remember delivering the lines with her, but I don't remember what I said. I don't remember the storyline. Sorry. There have been a couple of things I've done over the years.
Listen, you've done a lot. You've packed it in. There's a lot of data up in there,
I know.
like you said.
It's a trillion bits, an extra trillion bits of information.
So who did you love working with?
Who did I love working with? Oh, my goodness. Well, Joe Gallison, as I said, on Days of Our Lives. Yeah. I loved working with Marty Davich, the piano player on Days of Our Lives. He was so wonderful. He just passed recently, and I was so sad to see that. But I did go to the funeral or memorial. No, I think it was an actual funeral for Bill Hayes. And I got to see so many of the people I hadn't seen in years. And I got to see Beth. I hadn't seen her in years. And Marty Davich was there. And I just said, you were such a blessing to me. His piano playing was always so intuitive, and he listened so beautifully, and he came up with chord structures. I mean, we worked together on things to make them just a little different. And yeah, I loved him. What else? I don't know. I mean, there were lots of things that were great. I'd have to go look through my scrapbooks.
Well, speaking of Days, how did it feel to be back for those episodes for the funeral for Bill Hayes' character?
Right. That was very touching. It was not a nostalgia tour because so many of the actors were different. And I had not, it would have been a busman's holiday. I never watched the show because I was busy with children and doing the show. Years later, maybe I saw an episode here or there. So I just had to assume if the director said cut, okay, I guess I delivered, And the studio was all different. So it's not like I went back to a familiar place. I kept getting lost in the studio. Okay, all right. Okay, thank you, Gloria. And I go, what do I do? A right, a left? No, where am I now? It was this wonderful puzzle of sets. And everybody was really nice. But you know what? It was not the joy it had been. It was just different. It was very, very different. It was a 12-hour day. I was on my feet because we actually taped 2 episodes in one day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was there one day, but got paid for the 2 episodes. When I got the check, I went, wow, okay, But it was fun. I got to see Maggie. And I got to work with Marie Cheatham.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'd never worked with her, but she was playing Marie, the original Marie, but I worked with the secondary, Lana Saunders.
Okay.
So when I was on the show, Marie Cheatham had left and Lana Saunders was now Marie. And we had this scene, and when she looked at me, it was like daggers. Oh my God. She gave me everything I needed to just stand right up to her. And the most fun of all was we had to do the scene just a quick, because everything was quick now. Everything's quick. A couple times. And there was one line I had where she says, "Oh, are you going to shoot me again?" And I said, "I've told you it was an accident." And I took that from real life. I had somebody who I had explained again and again and again about something. "Well, you don't understand." And I had said, it wasn't, I had done that. And so I used that voice and it was like, yeah.
That's so fun. I love
You got to pull from what you know,
Exactly.
But Marie was fabulous. Oh my gosh. Fun. And since then I've seen her. I actually went and we had lunch together. We went and had Mexican food together and I saw her home and she does ceramics, beautiful ceramics. She has a website. She sells her ceramics and everything. And she gave me a little, when you put your tea bag in, there's looks like a little teapot with a flower painted on.
Oh.
So I have that at home and I like that. That's
that
very
so
sweet.
Cool. All right, let's go back to songwriting and like writing, I don't know, some television theme songs.
Well, I didn't write them. I mean, when Alan was at CBC, he wrote special material music all the time. So he had that, it's like what I said about acting. If you only act every 6 months, you're going to be, you need to be working your craft. If you're a piano player, you need to be playing at least every couple days. And Alan was always writing. He wrote a number of theme songs. Norman Lear and his wife were actually at our home for a party. And, and Norman called and we got a new show and I'm going to have the producer call you, want you to write a theme song for it. And it was Facts of Life. And so he said, come on. Because I was working on trying to write some songs. Come on. And we're going to do this together. So I was there and we were going back and forth, but he was really the special material writer, but it was great fun to be part. And I got my name on it. And then I recorded it sort of as a demo to what they had done. Then they decided to have Charlotte, the actress who played
Charlotte Ray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Charlotte Ray.
For season one. And then they decided to use my version. So that was fun. And who was the other, were you part of because there was Charlotte Ray and somebody else singing it in season one?
Yeah, I wasn't part of that. No, they just went back to my demo and said, you know what, this sounds good. Let's use this. So, yeah.
And there's a couple different lyric changes.
He wrote, remember, they only used like 30 to 60 seconds, maybe 60 seconds.
So he wrote
a whole song.
Oh, okay.
There's a time you got to go and show you're growing now. You know about the facts of life, So and we're all bopping our heads now. For those of you who can't see us, so sticky. I know. He was great. And I got to be a part of that and it was great fun. I'm still getting residuals. Yeah.
Excellent.
I was going to say, because
I didn't get alimony, but I got residuals.
Residuals are very good. And so what was your involvement in Different Strokes? Were you, because you have
you know what? I didn't actually write on that. I don't know that actually says I was one of the writers, unless Alan put me, but I don't remember ever seeing a residual for Different Strokes.
It says on IMDb that you were a composer.
Then we'll just let that, okay, thank you.
Do you get any residuals?
Not that I have ever seen. So I think
IMDb might be wrong.
Okay. Occasionally, yeah.
But so when you go in to do something like that and you're just like, oh, I'm going to sing the demo. I mean, is that like, an hour of work?
Well, it can be, you run through it with the band, you get all the levels set, you take a run through. Okay, let's try that again. Give us a little more punch in the first chorus, or, you try a couple times and maybe you lay on a little harmony, or it can take a couple of hours. Yeah, 2-3 hours. Usually a session was 3 hours from what I remember. Yeah.
And then, you can do that to 100 songs and then suddenly one of them is a Facts of Life.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's just like being an actress. You go out and there's 73 other actresses, all your age, all looking fine, all running their lines, So so there it is.
Do you get sick of singing it? Because you just lovely.
Well, I haven't sung it. I mean, that little bit I just did is probably the most I've sung it in the last 10 years, but
it was lovely. So, did it change anything for you? Like the Facts of Life, because it was so big and it's lasted so long.
Well, it didn't change anything except it added to my resume, certainly. And people now, because of the thing that changed everything for me was Friends and Lovers. And I remember when that got to number one on the adult contemporary charts. That's what the chart was back then. Somebody said to me, they can never take that away from you, that you had a number one hit. I said, yeah, that's right. That'll always be mine. Yay, But that didn't change anything for me as such. I mean, it was just fun and we made money from it. And it was, fun to hear my voice on television. But I'd been hearing my voice on television since I was 21. That's when I did the Merv Griffin show. So, but yeah, it was great. It was great. I've had a great life.
The research in diabetes, you guys accomplished a lot. There's been so many advances.
Yes, there have. And there are so many people. There are hundreds of thousands of people who've worked their butts off in local chapters and raising money and walks and galas. And, it's been an amazing thing. And also supporting the research at the NIH, National Institutes of Health. I hope they don't keep cutting scientific research right now. It's a horror. But as parents, we're afraid that our children won't make it. I remember when Brennan was diagnosed and I was in the hospital and I was doing an education course and the nurse said, okay, and this. And she said, I want to show you where you'll inject your son. And they showed me a chart with a little body, a little not stick figure, but line drawing of a body, and all these little holes on his arms and legs and stomach. And I went, and I thought I was going to black out. And I said, I need to go out. And I went out in the room and I slid down the wall and just sat there and sobbed. And she came out. She said, I know, it's a lot. It's a lot. And at the time that Brennan was diagnosed, I was told he'd be lucky to live 20 more years. And he was 4.5. He's now 50. He takes good care of himself. There are some things he could do better, but I'm a mom.
You're a mom.
Come on.
Yes. I can hear my mom saying the same thing right
now. But he has 2 beautiful children and a wonderful wife who's one of my dear friends, Miss Dolly. And, he made it this far, and we have to be grateful. He's very cognizant of the difficulty of maybe living another 20, 25 years and seeing his own children married and this and that and the other. But it's a fear in him, and he speaks of it occasionally, and I understand that, Yeah, I mean, I've outlived my mother and my grandmother at this point. So I go, yeah, wow, I lived longer than them, But I made a decision a long time ago that I would not go my mother's route. She smoked for 30 years. Then she stopped, God bless her. But she never watched what she ate. She never exercised. She took drugs for years. Drugs have side effects, and her mother died of stroke. My mother died of heart failure, a congestive heart failure. Well, actually, this is a funny story. I was at a hotel in San Bernardino because I lived in the mountains in Lake Arrowhead. And I had flown back in and I thought, and there was fog up on the mountain. I said, I am not driving home at 10 o'clock at night in fog. So I got a hotel room and I think I'll drive home in the morning. And I thought, I'm really hungry. And I ordered a Chinese chicken salad, which has vinegar on it. And I have used an Ayurvedic diet for a long time. And at like 3 a.m, I get this like squeezy thing in my, I didn't realize it was acid reflux. I didn't know that. I'd never had it. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what is that? And then I felt a little nauseous and I thought, wait a minute, let me, you go to Dr. Google.
Yes.
And Dr. Heart attack in women, nausea, squeezy feeling, whatever that is. And I'm going, oh my God, okay, what am I going to do? And I called my husband and he wasn't answering the phone. And I'm in San Bernardino with my car. And I thought, okay, I am not going to call 911. And the squeezy kind of subsided, and I'm sitting there, and I had taught yoga for a number of years, and I was very conscientious about my body and my keeping in touch with myself. And I thought, okay, I'm not feeling that feeling right now. Is my head clear? My head is clear. My body's clear. All right, I'm going to start driving home. And I got in the right lane and drove 55 miles an hour for 45 minutes back to our house in Los Feliz, and which prompted my son Robin to say, what are you, a Navy SEAL? But I thought I was in the far right lane. If anything happened, I'd pull over and call 911. But I didn't feel
you had a plan.
I have a plan. You got to have a plan. So anyway, I drive up to the Glendale Hospital there, the Dignity Health. Mm-hmm. And I drive in, and I've been calm as can be. And I drive up and I'm calm and I'm resolute. And I get my purse and I've got my ID and I've got my insurance card, and I go up to the door and they say, "We are a cardiac care unit." And I go, "Oh, that's so nice of them."
And how are you feeling at this point? Are you like, you've been driving for an hour?
I was like, oh, but I was very, very calm and very, okay, I'm good. Oh, but then compassion. All you have to do is be somebody who's really holding together. So I'm so sorry. I know. I said, anyway, so I was like, okay, go in there. And I said, "Look, I've been having some chest pain." And she said, "Okay, do you have your insurance card?" She said, "Yes." She said, "Give me that. Get in there. Get on a table. We'll be right there."
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be right back with more of our fabulous conversation with the amazing Gloria Loring.
And we're back. And it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I go in and they do every possible test. They do an EKG. They do an EEG. They do an echocardiogram. They do, and they take blood and they say, okay, all of those are clear, but troponin is elevated. Troponin is a hormone that sometimes appears elevated if you've had a heart attack. So they said, okay, we're going to keep you overnight. And now it's, in the morning, and they put me in a room, and we're going to do, what is that called? It's a, I can't
test it. Angiogram?
Angiogram. Thank you. Angiogram.
Look, listen, if you're asking us about TV stars, we might be able to do it, but this is medical.
I'm very impressed. Anyway, and I had it and I can't think of it. Anyway, and they put a little tiny cut in your artery or vein or something in your leg, and then they thread a little tiny camera. It's amazing.
Amazing.
So I'm in there and I'm lying there, and there's a monitor up to my left, and they put a curtain in front of you so you don't see what they're doing. And he had said, "Now, we're going to do this today, and we're going to get you started on statins and aspirin and with your family history." I said, "No, just a minute. Look. Let's get the diagnostics first, and then we'll figure out what we do." I've been following a plan. At that time, it was 25 years. I said, because this is about 10 years, not even 10 years ago. And I said, "I've been following a plan, ancient medicine with herbs and diet, and let's see what the results is. Then we'll figure out what I do," because I'm not taking statins. Anyway, the first thing I did in the morning was call my Ayurvedic doctor, and I said, "Look, I'm in the hospital. I have this and blah, blah." He said, "That's okay. Let them do what they want to do. When you get out, we'll fix it." I said, "Okay, thank you." And he had done that with a number of things with me that supposedly nobody could fix, and he fixed them. Anyway, so now I'm sitting there and I'm lying there, it's stretched out, and they're doing what they're doing. And I'm looking at my heart. I'm looking at my own heart beating in my body, keeping me alive. And I just had this huge wave of gratitude. And I was tears streaming down. It's tears of joy and gratitude streaming down my face saying, "Oh my God, look at you. You're so beautiful. And you've been doing this for me all my life. And you're just working away in there. And I'm so glad I thought to do things to take care of you. I hope we'll be okay. And I'm sending this love and everything." And he comes around the little curtain. He says, "Okay, I don't know what that herbal doctor is doing for you, but you have no plaque in your arteries anywhere." Wow. I said, "Okay, proof of concept. Proof of concept.
Peace out, doc."
I know. Peace out. And I had to wait. They brought me a lunch, which was beef, sliced beef. I'm a cardiac care person, and you're giving me beef. Anyway, so I said, "No, I can't eat this. Just bring me pudding or something. Fine." But that was so reassuring, and I thought maybe that's a purpose. I don't say there's a reason for everything, but we can find the reason that resonates for us. I've done many, many years of spiritual inquiry and meditation and reading, and I read about all the different religions and everything. And there's a continuum within them. There's a coherence between all the basic religions. First of all of them say, don't treat anybody any way you wouldn't want to be treated. Do unto others, or don't do unto others what you wouldn't want to. So that's my religion. Don't tell me what you believe. Show me who you are. Yep. That's for me. Anyway, so that was like this great reassurance that I've been doing the right thing all this time. And so maybe I will live to 93 and be at that 30. My grandson gets married at 30, which is 15 more years.
It gets because my stepkids that are 9 and 11 years older than our youngest.
Oh.
And so my mom was at their high school graduation.
Yes.
And about 10 years ago, Dashiell was like, are you going to be at my graduation? And my mom was like, I'm going to try.
That's it. I told Julian when he said, and I said, okay, I have a mission statement. Thank you very much. I'm to live to 93.
You wrote a book. Well, you wrote like 7 books.
I wrote the cookbooks. I wrote the diabetes care books. I wrote some little, taking care of yourself when I was on Days of Our Lives, Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous. And many of these stories about friends and lovers, and just because I saw these constant things, just I call them coincidings that I wanted to do this and wait, well, there it is right there. It's right. It's, expect and I have the expect a miracle framed over my mirror, my little vanity where I sit.
Do you have any idea where it came from? Did you ever learn?
Never found out. I don't know why someone walked into my room and slipped that underneath my, they didn't even leave it on the vanity, underneath the bag. What the heck?
Well, it sounds amazing. And we'll have to have another conversation maybe offline because, my husband has a paranormal podcast and I've heard you talk about some paranormal experiences, spiritual experiences.
Yeah, spiritual experiences. Yeah, very powerful. Some of them at the ashram. I went to an ashram for many years, and during some of the programs, and I went when I first went, I went to the ashram, and at breakfast, they said, you have to wear your name. And I'm Gloria Loring. I don't wear a name tag. Oh, yeah, that's who I was back then, because I need to be seen and known. And anyway, and so I learned everything. I learned humility. I learned a lot of things.
I think singers need a little diva in them sometimes.
You got it. You got it. But you got to know when to use it and when to say, sit on the side right now, honey, buddy. You're not needed right now.
This has been absolutely so much fun.
Thank you so much.
I hope it was fun for you too.
It was.
I'm so glad to hear that because
I'm glad I remembered almost all the names.
You did.
Amazing. James Brolin. Yes, that's it. I remember he's Barbra Streisand's husband, but I can't remember his name other than that.
As long as my doctor once said, when I said, I think I'm losing, he said, listen, losing your keys, that's fine.
No, I tell people, look, I said, I can tell it's in there and I can feel it's like somebody going through the file cabinet. It's in here somewhere. It's in here. I said, in 20 minutes, and I'll say, Stacy Keach, 20 minutes later. Aha, okay.
We're so grateful for all of your talent and your soul. It's been really great to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
And really appreciate you coming in
I know.
person.
No, I like it. There's something for me better about being, there's an energy that flows here that gets interrupted by data and screens and, just to be with you and back and forth. Yeah.
Well, when we started the podcast, we were still in the process. We, as the world, were still coming out of the pandemic.
Yes.
So it was really
It was a gift.
That we were able to do it over Zoom as much as we have. And also for those guests that we've had that are back east or somewhere else, it's fantastic. But there's nothing like having somebody in person.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. When the pandemic first started, I called my friend who was, you have one more? Okay, one more story. I'm sorry, I'm just a font today. What can I tell you? Woohoo! Anyway, I was called, again, with the Juvenile Diabetes Association by PR communications director, Karen. She said, look, there's a lady down in Tennessee and they're going to do it. She's with the American Heart Association and she's got diabetes and she wants to do this event. And it was talking about the relationship between heart disease and diabetes. And I said, well, that sounds like something up my alley. And then I talked to this lady, Deborah, and she was so filled with enthusiasm and just so bright and cheerful. And I thought, I love this lady. So anyway, I wind up going down there to do this thing. And it was kind of their gala. It's in Bristol, Tennessee. It's the Tri-Cities. She wanted to get Mary Tyler Moore, but of course, Mary wasn't going to come to Bristol, Tennessee. But Karen was very, very good. She, well, Mary's kind of busy. But you know what? And she had a dream the night before. And she watched Days of Our Lives occasionally. And the dream was, it was Gloria Loring in profile with a microphone in her hand in a black dress with long sleeves and a scoop neck. And she said, oh, if Mary can't do it, maybe Gloria Loring can do it. that would be great because she's got a son with diabetes. So now she's on the phone with Karen, and Karen says, well, Mary can't do it. And the next thing out of her was, let me call Gloria Loring. So now we're on the phone together, and I go down there. And that night, she is sitting on the side of the stage, and she sees me in profile with the microphone in a black long sleeve scoop neck dress. And she goes, oh, that's what I saw in my dream.
Manifesting.
So I know that was 1998. We are still now, when the COVID hit, I said, okay, I need to have people to talk to. I said, let's you and I be a quarantine. Okay.
Quarantine.
A quarantine. And we called each other in the morning. How'd you sleep? What'd you have for breakfast? What are you going to do today? What are you going to And then, okay, bedtime. How are you doing? How was your day? We still do that. We're still doing that. Ever since COVID, we talk in the morning and then we talk at night.
That's so great.
She's my quarantine.
I love that. I love that. And you have how many grandkids?
6.
6 grandkids.
Robin has...
We didn't even talk about Robin.
I know.
We have to give him extra
Robin
time.
can talk about it.
That's true. A lot of people know about Robin.
Robin is getting married the end of this month. He's been with his fiancée. Well, they lost their home. He lost his father. He lost his mentor, and he lost his manager, all in the course of 1 year. Wow. And it was so. And then she got pregnant, and then the fire came. She was pregnant. Then she had one baby. Then she was pregnant with the next one. Then the fire came, and then they lost their home. And she said, and he said, we'll get married at some point. But now they have 3 children of their own, plus Julian from his marriage to wonderful Paula Patton. And so, as I said, I call them the thicklets, the little ones. They're 7, 6, and 4. And they're so cute. They run around like little scurries with scooters through the living room. You know, it's like, okay, don't hit Nana. Don't hit Nana. Whatever you do, don't run over my feet.
Are they boys, girls, mixture?
Okay. Mia it sounds like an Italian movie. Mia is 7, Lola is 6, and Luca is 4. It's an Italian movie. I don't know how they got Italian names for these children. And then Julian is 15 now, and he's from the first marriage. And then my son Brennan has Tyler, who is going to be 17 next month in May. And he's 6'5.5". Every time I walk by him, I say, "You're just a giant child." Really a giant child. Anyway, and then they adopted darling Cheyenne, who came into their life when she was 20 months old, and her mother was drug addicted. And the judge had told her, if you will just complete your rehab and get out of this abusive relationship, you can keep this daughter. She'd already given away a couple of children because she'd had them taken away because she was not sufficiently in this life to take care of them. And she quit rehab and married her abuser. Some of us can't let go of what, well, it's familiar. Yeah, it's like, this is what I deserve. This is what should happen. You know, I mean, we all can understand that on some level. Anyway, so when they said, we have a little girl, we need to place her tonight. She needs a place to stay. And Dolly had already gotten like a crib and stuff waiting because she wanted a daughter. She had had preeclampsia and et cetera. And she said, you know, I don't want to take another chance. She was in her late 30s and et cetera. So they bring Cheyenne, little Cheyenne, and Dolly bends over. She says, "Hi, my name is Mommy, and this is Daddy." Taking no chances. We're going to get right in there. And she is, oh my God, she is such a joy. She's so funny. She used to call me last year because her mom was working. And so Mom would leave and Daddy would then walk her to school. But she'd call me like at 7:15 in the morning. She'd call me, say, "Hi, Nana." She's got a phone. She'd, "Hi, Nana. You want to watch me dance?" Sure. 7:15. Okay, sure. And it was different music. Oh, I've got a new song, but it was always the same dance. It was elbows out, and like she had maracas in her hands, and I mean. But she's so sweet. We have girls' afternoons, and we go to CPK. We have a system, and then we go to a movie. PG movie, and she sits next, she puts her head on my shoulder and kisses my cheek. She's just the sweetest little girl. She's going to at some point get snarky because she's going to be a teenager, but it's okay. I've had lots of sweetness, so I can handle it when it comes. I remember when somebody told me, I said, wait till your son turns 13. He's going to lose his mind, and you are going to be the stupidest person on the planet until he's about 19 or 20. I said, okay, thank you for warning me. And just after his 13th birthday, he walked into but it was the 80s, right? You know, the big hair and all that. He walked into the kitchen and he looked at me and said, Mom, why do you have to wear those big belts? And I went, oh, it started. Oh, it started. Okay.
I remember.
I'm going to be stupid for about 6 years.
I remember with our oldest, I walked in and I was like, because this used to be just a garage. But the gaming system was out here. And I was like, you can't be on the gaming system until you take out the trash. And the look that I got, he could have killed me. It was Owen.
How
and I was like,
dare you? Who
and
do
I turned
you think
around
you are?
and I was like, oh my God, that's it.
Yeah, there it is.
Owen will not like me.
I had a
for a long
sign
time.
I printed out on my refrigerator that says, teenagers, tired of parents and teachers pushing you around, move out now while you still know everything.
Oh my gosh. But they're all delightful.
They are. They are. Then they grow up and then they know what you went through.
It's all such fun.
It's good.
I'm so blessed by your joy.
Thank you.
It's a gift.
Yep. I told you everything was fine except I had a car I didn't like and I needed to lose weight and I got a new car and I'm doing the other one very successfully. So, all right.
Well, I'm going to say you look fabulous. So I think you look great as you are, but you do you. So
you do you. Yeah. This is great fun. Thank you so much. What a joy. Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure.
For today's audiography, you can find Gloria Loring on her website, glorialoring.com, and she's also on Instagram as Gloria Loring, all one word.
You can also currently watch 2 seasons of The Facts of Life for free on Tubi. Now, The Facts of Life, Sharon, is moving around. Like every time we do a little thing of where you can find it, I go to make sure it's still there, and it's like I don't know, it's like a little minnows running away. Season 4 is over here. Season 1 is no longer available. But if you search for it, you can find it places. Sometimes you'll have to pay, but you can watch the first 2, season 2 and season 3 on Tubi for free.
And it's possible if you're someone that still has cable or has an over-the-air antenna, there may be some channels where they are showing The Facts of Life.
That's true.
So, because it is kind of ubiquitous sometimes.
And you can find the DVDs on eBay.
There you go. Absolutely. You can also listen to Gloria's autobiography, which is called Coincidence is God's Way of Remaining Anonymous. It's about her life and time as a soap opera star.
It's available on Audible, which, by the way, you can also listen to 80s TV Ladies podcast on Audible. I just found that out today.
Would have been nice if they let us know so we could let you know, but
somehow it's magically on Audible. No one told us. But it's available for free on Audible. So if you have an Audible account, you don't have to use a credit or pay for it. You can just listen in.
There's so many choices wherever you want to listen. Please continue to enjoy.
But wherever you do listen, please give us a rating or a review. We're at 59 ratings on Apple Podcasts. I'm just saying, even if you don't listen to Apple Podcasts, run over there, hit play for like 1 minute, and then give us a 5-star rating. I mean, if you're just doing things, just do it that way.
Sounds like a plan to me. 80s TV ladies, I bet you're wondering what's coming up next. Get ready for the 90s TV babies take on The Facts of Life. This one is gonna be fun.
I cannot wait.
Also, we're just about to wrap up season 3. Can you believe it? And once again, we'll be taking a hiatus for most of the summer, but don't worry. Just like 80s TV, we'll be doing reruns of our most popular episodes, so you'll be able to catch up on some of the ones you missed. We're wishing you a beautiful summer and
I forgot to fill that in.
And
Well, just cut it off after.
We're wishing you a beautiful summer too, Sharon. But Sharon, what are we going to do for season 4? I don't know yet. We haven't announced it yet, but I do know we can tell you one of the shows we were going to be covering because we're going to kick off season 4 with a look at one of the greatest 80s TV ladies shows of all time. Well, I guess of the 80s, really. The brass ring of 80s ladies, the Golden Girls.
That's right. When we come back for season 4, we'll be looking at that most fabulous all 80s, all girl, all golden TV show.
Now, what do you guys want to know about the Golden Girls? What should we be researching? Who should we talk to? What should we talk about? Send us your thoughts at 80stvladies.com or email us at 80stvladies@gmail.com.
As always, we hope 80s TV Ladies brings you joy and laughter and lots of fabulous new and old shows to watch, all of which will bring us closer to being amazing ladies of the 21st century.